There comes a point when your mind becomes your enemy, when your thoughts stop guiding you and start haunting you, when you wake up tired, not from your body, but from the weight of everything you're carrying in your head. You ever sat at the edge of your bed, staring at the floor, thinking about what you should have said, what you should have done, how things should have gone, but didn't? You ever stayed quiet in a moment where you should have spoken, and spoken in a moment when silence would have saved your soul? That's what overthinking does. It drowns the power in you. And the truth is, he who thinks too much always loses. You lose time, you lose peace, you lose people, you lose opportunities because you're stuck in your head while life is out there moving, fast, unapologetic, and unforgiving. Let me tell you something. Indecision is a decision. And the ones who keep second-guessing everything end up watching their whole life from the sidelines, clapping for people who weren't even half as smart, but twice as bold. You see, there's a voice in your head that whispers fear. It says, what if you fail? What if they judge you? What if you're not good enough? And you know what happens? You wait. You wait for the perfect moment. You wait for the right sign. You wait until you're certain. But life doesn't wait for overthinkers. It moves with the ones who act, who risk, who leap, even when they're scared. Sometimes you don't need a plan. Sometimes you just need courage. Because too many people are out there building castles in their minds, but dying in reality. If you think too much, you miss the moment. You think too much, and you talk yourself out of what God already gave you the strength to walk into. You let fear dress up like wisdom. You let hesitation disguise itself as logic, but in truth, it's just the enemy talking you out of your blessing. The man who thinks too much doesn't move, and the man who doesn't move gets left behind. Let me leave you with this. Number one, overthinking turns doubt into delay, and delay into regret. There's a storm that lives in the mind of an overthinker. It starts off small, like a whisper. One thought, one moment of uncertainty, one what if, and then, like a flood, it drowns every instinct you had. You start replaying conversations that ended hours ago. You start imagining outcomes that never existed. You build problems that ain't even real yet. That whisper becomes a scream, and before you know it, your moment is gone. You had the courage, you had the chance. But doubt took the wheel, and now you're sitting there, full of questions and no progress. You see, doubt doesn't just paralyze, it poisons. It takes your strength and replaces it with hesitation. And when hesitation lingers long enough, it turns into silence, inaction, missed calls, missed doors, missed destiny. The real tragedy of overthinking isn't that it makes you uncertain. It's that it convinces you you're being careful when you're actually being cowardly. You tell yourself you're being wise when really you're stalling. You label it processing, but you're just avoiding risk, avoiding pain, avoiding change. And yet avoiding all of that comes at a higher price. Because while you were debating what could go wrong, life moved on. That job, that opportunity, that relationship, that breakthrough, it didn't wait for you. It found someone else who wasn't frozen by fear. And now you're left holding a pile of thoughts with no results. That's what overthinking does. It disguises itself as protection, but it's really just fear dressed in logic's clothing. There's a cost to waiting too long, a cost to second-guessing every step, the doors you didn't walk through, the phone calls you never made, the words you swallowed when you should have spoken, the ideas you buried because you feared they weren't good enough. All of it starts with one seed of doubt. One, maybe I'm not ready. And once that seed takes root, it grows vines around your potential. Every time you feed that doubt, it grows stronger. Every time you give into that hesitation, it steals a piece of what could have been yours. And then one day, you wake up and realize you're not where you wanted to be, not because you weren't capable, but because you couldn't get out of your own head. See, life don't slow down for thinkers. It speeds up for movers. While you're analyzing, someone else is acting. While you're planning, someone else is building. While you're debating, someone else is becoming. And here's the bitter truth. Talent and intelligence mean nothing without execution. You can have the greatest mind in the world, but if you let doubt turn your ideas into delay, you'll be a genius in theory and a ghost in reality. You'll be full of wisdom that never touched a single life, full of dreams that died in the waiting room of your thoughts. It's not that you didn't have what it took. It's that you never stepped forward long enough to find out. Let me tell you what delay feels like. It feels like watching someone live the life you talked yourself out of. It feels like standing at the window of your own potential, watching it drive away, and you're left wondering if it's too late. You see people thriving, people you once stood next to, and now they're ahead, and you're behind, not because they were better, but because they moved when you paused. And that pause, it cost you. Delay is a silent thief. It doesn't come with alarms or warnings. It just slowly robs you of time, passion, and momentum until all that's left is a mountain of, I should've. That's what regret is. Not the scars of failure, but the pain of never trying. You know why regret hits so deep? Because you can't lie to yourself forever. You know, deep down, that you had chances. You know that moment when your gut said go, but your mind said wait. And you waited. You know how many times your heart begged you to take that leap, but your thoughts made you sit still. And the worst part? You replay those moments over and over again. It says the prison of overthinking, your memories become your judge, and every missed opportunity becomes a life sentence of wondering what could have been. You don't forget the risks you avoided. You carry them quietly, heavily, daily. And here's the twist. Most of the time, the things you feared the most never even happen. That humiliation you imagined never came. That failure you rehearsed didn't play out. That rejection you braced for, it was all in your head. But the opportunity you missed, that was real. That window you let close, that was real. That connection you lost, that dream you shelved, that voice you silenced, that was real. And now the only thing you have to show for it is a perfectly detailed blueprint of how it could have gone if you had only moved. So ask yourself, how many moments have you sacrificed on the altar of what if? How many victories slipped through your hands while you were double-checking the outcome? How many people were sent into your life as blessings, but you pushed them away because your thoughts told you to be cautious? Overthinking has never protected your peace. It's only paused your progress. You weren't born to sit in a spiral of doubts. You were born to move with purpose, to trust your gut, to walk in faith. But faith can't function where fear is fed. And every time you choose doubt, you starve your future. You got to stop confusing thoughtfulness with paralysis. It's okay to assess, it's okay to reflect, but there comes a point when thinking becomes stalling, and stalling becomes regret. That's the danger. You build up a habit of hesitation so strong, you forget how to say yes to yourself. You look back and realize your life became a museum of missed chances. All because you wanted certainty before courage. But life was never meant to be certain. It was meant to be lived. And living means risking. It means failing sometimes, but it also means growing, evolving, becoming. Something you'll never do if you keep choosing safety over movement. The next time your thoughts try to build walls around your action, remember this. Fear loves comfort zones. It thrives in routine, but growth lives in uncertainty. And you can't get there by thinking your way through everything. Sometimes you got to move without a perfect plan. Sometimes you got to trust your instincts more than your intellect. Because your mind will try to keep you safe, but your spirit was born to soar. You'll never take flight if you let every crosswind of doubt keep you grounded. And make no mistake, there is a deadline on destiny. Every delay has a consequence. Every moment you don't act is a moment you give permission for your dreams to drift further away. You can't keep putting off your calling because your mind needs more convincing. Life won't always wait for your peace to catch up. Sometimes you've got to walk with trembling hands. You've got to speak with a shaking voice. You've got to go, even when every part of you is screaming, what if this goes wrong? Because even if it does go wrong, at least you'll know you moved. At least you'll know you tried. And that kind of peace, that's something doubt can never give you. Overthinking won't keep you safe, it'll keep you stuck. And being stuck is just another form of slow death. You don't see it all at once, but over time your fire dims, your spirit shrinks, your life becomes predictable, manageable, empty. You start convincing yourself that average is okay, that quiet is peace. But in your heart, you know the truth. You were made for more. And you let the weight of your thoughts convince you otherwise. That's not protection, that's self-sabotage. And it's time to stop letting your mind play God with your future. You weren't meant to think your life away. You were meant to live it. The clock is ticking. The world keeps spinning. And the truth is, nobody's waiting for you to be ready. Opportunities don't knock forever. They move on. Life doesn't pause for thinkers. It rewards the doers. So the next time doubt starts whispering, you better recognize its voice, because it only has power if you stop to listen. And every second you do, you risk turning today's dream into tomorrow's regret. Number 2, don't need to figure out the entire path. Just take the first step. Some people spend their entire lives standing at the edge of the road, waiting to see every street light turn green before they move. They want to know the outcome before they take the risk. They want the blueprint, the map, the full script before they take action. But life doesn't work like that. Life is not a GPS. It doesn't show you all the turns, all the bumps, all the detours. It reveals itself one step at a time. You don't need to have the entire path in front of you. You just need to move your feet. That first step, no matter how small, how shaky, how uncertain, is a door that leads to everything else. It's not about knowing everything. It's about trusting that if you move, more will be revealed. The truth is, clarity comes from movement, not thinking. You can sit and analyze your dreams for years and still be in the exact same spot. You can plan for every outcome, script out every scenario, and still not know how it feels to live it. You don't need to see the summit to start climbing the mountain. All you need is the courage to step forward. The first step won't solve everything, but it breaks the curse of stagnation. It tells your fear, I'm not staying here. It tells your doubt, you don't win today. It's not about being ready. It's about being willing. Willing to look foolish, willing to feel unprepared, willing to walk into the unknown with faith that you'll find your footing along the way. Too many people die in the waiting room of when I'm ready. Let me tell you something. You will never feel fully ready. There will always be a voice saying, wait a little longer. You don't have enough. What if you fail? That voice isn't wisdom. It's fear dressed up like logic. If you let it run your life, you'll look up one day and realize that fear didn't just delay you, it defined you. The people who build greatness aren't the ones who knew exactly what to do. They're the ones who moved anyway. They stumbled, they learned, they adjusted, but they moved. The first step might feel small, but it shifts the entire direction of your life. It separates talkers from doers. It separates dreamers from builders. It's the pressure to have it all figured out that keeps so many people from starting. They think they need to be perfect. They think they need to predict every twist in the road. But the path was never meant to be predictable. It was meant to shape you. The uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's your invitation. Because real growth doesn't come from safety. It comes from struggle, from discovery, from getting lost and finding your way. That can't happen if you stay frozen at the beginning, overthinking every possible scenario. Life isn't waiting for you to be brilliant. It's waiting for you to be brave. That's it, brave enough to take one step, even when your knees are shaking. Sometimes the first step is the hardest because it forces you to face yourself. It exposes your fears, your insecurities, your doubts. But that's where the power lies. That's where you begin to separate who you are from who you were pretending to be. You don't grow by staying comfortable. You grow by stepping into moments that stretch you, moments that scare you, moments that teach you what you're really made of. That first step is a declaration, a statement to the universe that says, I'm ready to become more than my fears. You don't have to conquer the mountain today, but you do have to stop staring at it. Pick up your feet, move forward. The journey begins with movement, not mastery. You will never discover how far you can go until you're willing to leave where you are. That step might feel small to the world, but it's everything to your soul. That step might not make sense to your friends, to your family, to anyone around you, but it's not their step. It's yours. You've been feeling it tug at your spirit for a while now. That pull towards something greater. That voice whispering, there's more. You've silenced it with logic. You've buried it under excuses, but it's still there, asking you to move. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the longer you wait, the louder the doubt becomes. And the louder the doubt becomes, the harder it is to hear your own calling. There's something sacred about that first step. It's raw, it's vulnerable, it's real. It's not filtered through strategy or perfection. It's just pure faith, and that's powerful because it means you trust the process more than the plan. It means you believe in progress more than perfection. Some of the greatest stories ever written started with broken, unsure, fearful first steps. And that didn't stop them from becoming legends. They didn't wait until they were the smartest in the room. They didn't wait until the stars aligned. They just moved. And in that movement, they built momentum. And momentum changes everything. It turns hesitation into hunger. It turns doubt into discipline. It turns confusion into calling. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel motivated. But discipline, don't care about feelings. Discipline moves anyway. And that's what the first step really is. Discipline in action. It's your spirit saying, I won't let fear win this round. It's not about confidence. It's about commitment. You might trip. You might fall. But you'll learn. And what you learn will lead to the next step and the next. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize that you didn't have to know it all. You just had to keep moving, one shaky step at a time. The path isn't built by thinking. It's built by walking. What if the very thing you've been praying for is waiting on the other side of your first step? What if the blessing isn't delayed? It's just waiting on your movement. Too many of us wait for signs, wait for permission, wait for perfection. But the truth is, the world responds to action. That door you're waiting for, it opens when you knock. That opportunity you want, it appears when you move. That calling you feel, it strengthens when you answer. But nothing happens until you decide. Decide to stop standing still. Decide to move with what you have. Decide to trust the process, even when the path looks blurry. Don't let fear of the unknown keep you from the life you were meant to live. Yes, there will be risks. Yes, there will be failures. But there will also be growth. There will be breakthroughs. There will be moments when you realize, I would have never experienced this if I hadn't just started. And those moments, they make the fear worth it. They make the first step sacred, because the first step is the moment you stop being a prisoner of your mind and become a builder of your life. It's the moment you stop waiting for life to happen and start creating it. You don't need every answer. You just need enough courage to start asking the right questions. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just trust that each step will appear when you need it. And if it doesn't, then you build it. You learn. You adjust. You adapt. But you keep walking. Because progress is built in the tension between fear and faith. You will never escape fear completely. But you can stop letting it lead. Let faith lead. Let desire lead. Let vision lead. And when those moments of doubt come, and they will, remind yourself, I don't need to have it all figured out. I just need to begin. The first step has nothing to do with readiness. It has everything to do with courage. Real courage is quiet. It's the kind that shows up before the crowd claps. It's the kind that rises at midnight with tears in its eyes and still chooses to move forward. It's the kind that doesn't need applause or permission. It just needs conviction. And you've got that inside you, whether you know it or not. The fact that you're still thinking about what you could be doing, that's your spirit nudging you. That's purpose knocking. And you don't have to open the whole door. You just have to crack it open. Take the step. Even a stumble is better than standing still. If you're waiting for someone to give you a sign, this is it. If you're waiting for the fear to go away, it won't. If you're waiting until everything makes sense, it never fully will. You're not supposed to wait for the road to be easy. You're supposed to become stronger as you walk it. The people who build legacies don't wait for ideal conditions. They move when the conditions are uncertain, because they know the power isn't in the path. It's in the decision to walk it anyway. That decision starts with one thing, a step. Number 3, confidence isn't built in thought. It's built in motion. You can sit in your room all day and think about becoming strong, but it won't make you strong. You can read every book on bravery, watch every video on self-worth, and rehearse 1,000 empowering mantras in your mind, but until you move, until you act, until you show up when your knees are shaking, confidence won't stick. Confidence doesn't grow in your mind. It grows in the fire of your actions. You want to feel better about yourself? Do something you didn't think you could do. You want to believe in yourself? Step into something that scares you and survive it. Thought gives you ideas, but only motion gives you identity. You're not what you say you'll do. You're what you do, especially when it's hard. Confidence is not built by sitting in a corner trying to feel good about yourself. It's built by standing up, stumbling, getting laughed at, feeling uncomfortable, and realizing you didn't break. It's built in the awkward moment, in the I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here anyway kind of moment. And every time you push through that tension, you lay another brick in the foundation of your confidence. People think you need confidence to take the first step, but it's the step that gives you confidence. You can't wait until you feel worthy. You move, and worthiness shows up in your reflection, not before. Never before. Confidence doesn't show up when you're ready, it shows up when you try anyway. When you raise your hand even when your voice shakes. When you walk into the room even when you feel like a fraud. When you take the leap knowing full well you might fall. It's in motion that you realize the fears in your head are smaller than they seemed. It's in doing the thing you thought would break you that you realize you're unbreakable. Your mind might still doubt you, that inner critic might still whisper lies, but motion silences lies with evidence. Your body proves to your mind what you're capable of. One bold act, one uncomfortable move, one small, courageous decision can rewrite the story in your head completely. It's easy to confuse overthinking with preparation, but they're not the same. Preparation leads to action. Overthinking leads to paralysis. Confidence grows when you start, not when everything is perfect. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need the right words. You just need to begin. You need to show your mind that you are not ruled by fear. Every time you walk forward, you strip fear of its power. Every time you take that meeting, start that business, have that conversation, you take back the territory fear stole from you. And brick by brick, step by step, your confidence gets louder than your doubts. Confidence is not a gift from the heavens. It's a result of doing the hard thing, of falling on your face and rising anyway. The more uncomfortable situations you walk through, the more solid your belief becomes. It's not magic. It's not DNA. It's muscle. And just like a muscle, you build it through resistance. You don't need to eliminate fear to move. You just need to move through it, because motion is the medicine. Motion turns I hope I can into I know I did. You start stacking wins, even if they're messy, even if they're tiny. They stack. And one day you'll look back and realize, I'm not the same person anymore. I built this. There is power in motion. It rewrites the script. It takes the timid boy, the anxious woman, the insecure dreamer, and it transforms them into someone they never believed they could be. Not because their thoughts changed, but because they acted in spite of them. You can't think your way into a new version of yourself. You have to behave your way there. Show up, speak up, sign up, walk up. These are the quiet revolutions that create confidence. No one sees the battle in your chest, but they will see the glow that comes after you walk through it. That glow isn't arrogance, it's ownership. Ownership of the fight, the fear, the choice to move anyway. People wait to feel confident before they speak their truth. But confidence doesn't speak first, courage does. And courage walks you to the mic, opens your mouth and says the thing you swore you couldn't say. And when it's over, when the world didn't end, when you didn't collapse under the weight of your insecurity, you realize you're stronger than you knew. That is where confidence is born. In doing the thing you thought you couldn't survive, in walking through the fire and realizing it didn't consume you, it refined you. Thought may inspire you, but motion transforms you. Your mind is a battleground. It's filled with old voices, past wounds, doubt, fear, shame, and sometimes it screams so loud you start believing it. But action is how you win. Every time you choose to move when fear says freeze, you reclaim territory in your soul. You start to realize that your fear isn't prophetic. It doesn't tell the truth. It tells a story, and that story changes when you change your behavior. Confidence doesn't come from slaying every giant. It comes from facing them. Just the fact that you showed up when you were scared gives you more confidence than waiting ever will. You don't gain confidence by staying safe. You gain it by putting yourself in situations where you can't rely on safety, where you have to depend on growth, trust, and adaptability, where you have to figure it out, feel uncomfortable, and stay anyway. That's where the transformation happens. When you walk through the tension instead of running from it. When you lean into the discomfort and learn how capable you really are. You find pieces of yourself in those moments. Pieces that have been buried under fear and hesitation. You dig them up through action, through decisions, through trying, failing, and trying again. Confidence doesn't mean you always succeed. It means you stop fearing failure. It means failure doesn't define you. It refines you. It teaches you. It builds muscle. And once you've failed enough times, you stop fearing the fall because you've learned how to get back up. That resilience becomes part of your identity. It seeps into your bones. And suddenly you're not asking, can I do this anymore? You're asking, how can I do this better? That shift from fear to curiosity is the mark of a confident mind. And that mindset doesn't come from reading about risk. It comes from taking it. No one's coming to hand you confidence. There's no secret, no shortcut, just movement. Just that moment when you choose to rise, even when the weight of doubt is on your chest. Just that moment when you do the thing, even when your voice shakes, your hands tremble, and your thoughts scream, run. That moment matters. Because after it, you're no longer the same. You've tasted courage. You've shown yourself that fear, and you take that proof and you build with it. Again and again, until one day, your confidence becomes unshakable, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger in motion. Some people spend years in their heads trying to feel ready, and years pass, dreams die, doors close, all because they were waiting for confidence to show up before they did. But it's backwards. The version of you that's confident already exists, but you only meet them in motion. You only meet them after the leap, after the speech, after the risk, not before. If you want to know what you're capable of, stop thinking about it. Go find out. Move your feet, open your mouth, take the risk, make the call, show up. You'll be surprised what shows up inside of you when you move. Confidence is not about being fearless. It's about walking with fear and not letting it drive. It's about choosing movement in the face of hesitation. It's about letting your actions speak louder than your doubts. You can't talk your way into self-belief. You act your way there. So the next time you feel unsure, remember this. You're not broken. You're becoming. And every step you take, every action you choose is shaping the version of you that doesn't just think about confidence, but embodies it. Number 4, silence your fears by doing what they told you not to. Fear has a loud voice. It doesn't whisper. It shouts. It tells you to sit down when you were born to rise. It tells you to stay quiet when everything inside of you is begging to speak. It points to your past, magnifies your pain, and convinces you that the next step will break you. And so many people believe it. They take fear as truth, as gospel. But what if fear is just a liar dressed as protection? What if fear isn't there to keep you safe, but to keep you small? The only way to find out is to do exactly what it told you not to. Step into the room it warned you about. Speak the words it said would ruin you. Take the leap it said would destroy you. Because on the other side of that fear is not your failure, it's your freedom. You see, fear survives on your silence. It feeds off your hesitation. It grows stronger when you back away. But the moment you confront it with action, the illusion starts to break. The chains begin to fall. Fear has one goal: to control your life without ever lifting a finger. And it does that by planting seeds. Seeds of doubt, insecurity, and what-ifs. But those seeds only grow if you water them with your inaction. That's how fear wins, by convincing you to do nothing. But the moment you take that first step, even if you're trembling, you start to pull the roots up. You prove to fear that it doesn't own you. You silence it, not with words, but with movement. You don't have to feel brave to be brave. You don't have to be fearless to act. Courage is doing it while the fear is still there. It's not waiting for the fear to go away. It's moving anyway. That's how you silence it. You give it no room to breathe. You show it that its voice is not your command. When fear tells you not to speak, speak louder. When it tells you not to go, go farther. When it tells you you're not enough, do it anyway. That's how warriors are built. That's how you build a life. That's not ruled by the echoes of your past or the anxiety of your future, but by the power of your presence. People think fear protects them, but all it really does is trap them. It convinces them that safety is staying the same, that comfort is king, that stability is success. But the truth is, the safest place to be is in motion, because fear can't steer a moving ship. The moment you take control, when you stop waiting for clarity and start moving through confusion, fear loses its grip. And in that space, in that tension between what you fear and what you do, you meet your power, the real you, the version that was buried under years of silence, pain, trauma, rejection. That version wakes up the moment you go against what fear told you. Fear doesn't disappear just because you decide to be strong. It fights back. It throws louder thoughts. It reminds you of every past failure, every judgment, every moment you didn't measure up. But even then, you can still choose. You can choose to hear fear and still take the shot, still raise your hand, still apply for that opportunity. Because what fear doesn't expect is resistance. It doesn't expect you to rebel, but the most powerful rebellion you can wage is against your own fear, not with fists, not with anger, but with decisions. Bold, intentional decisions to do what that voice inside said you couldn't. Your freedom is hidden in the very thing fear told you to avoid, that conversation, that business, that stage, that dream. Fear will try to make you believe you need more time, more preparation, more permission. But what you really need is defiance. Not against people, but against the lie that fear is final. It's not. It's a signal, not a stop sign. And when you see it that way, you begin to treat fear as an indicator, not of danger, but of direction. If it scares you, it probably matters. If it shakes you, it's probably your growth. So instead of running from it, run into it. Fear tells you not to try because you'll fail, but even failure is progress. Fear tells you not to speak because you'll be judged, but silence is a slow death of the soul. Fear tells you not to start because you're not ready, but readiness is built in the fire, not before it. Every fear-driven decision you've ever made led you to less of yourself, less of your voice, less of your power. And every brave decision, every moment where you said, I'm doing this anyway, pulled you closer to who you were always meant to be. Fear doesn't fear your failure, it fears your becoming. You don't need to wait until fear disappears to live. You need to move through it. You need to train yourself to see fear as a red light that's broken, blinking in the dark, trying to convince you the road ahead is closed. But the road is open, and the car is yours. And the keys are in your hand. The voice in your head will scream, turn around. But your soul is whispering, drive. And if you have the courage to put the pedal down, to ignore the noise and follow the pull, that's where you find peace. Not in avoiding fear, but in overcoming it. The truth is, fear speaks in lies that feel like truth. It's the feeling that you'll be rejected if you show the real you, the panic that you're not enough, the anxiety that you'll be laughed at. But you silence that noise by doing the thing anyway. You silence fear by risking vulnerability, by risking exposure, by standing up when you'd rather hide. And what happens next is sacred. You realize you're stronger than the lie, that your skin didn't melt, your soul didn't shatter, you lived. And that's all confidence is. Proof that fear was just smoke and mirrors. You won't know how powerful you are until you move against what tries to paralyze you. Fear is a bully that only respects resistance. It only backs down when you punch back, not with violence, but with volume, with steps, with I'm doing it anyway, with you're not the boss of me. Fear doesn't know what to do with someone who keeps showing up, someone who doesn't need to feel brave to be brave, someone who may cry in private but still walks into the room, takes the shot, makes the call. That kind of defiance scares fear more than you can imagine. Think about all the people who never lived their dreams, not because they weren't talented, not because they weren't worthy, but because fear whispered, not you, and they believed it. And then they passed that fear down to their children. They normalized shrinking, hiding, settling. But you don't have to be that story. You don't have to be that cycle. You can break it. You break it by facing what they couldn't. You silence fear, not just for you, but for the generation watching you, for the child inside of you who once believed they couldn't. You rewrite your story by doing what fear told you not to do. Fear will always visit. It's part of being human, but it doesn't get to unpack its bags and live inside of you. You can greet it, acknowledge it, even thank it, but then you move forward anyway. You speak, you leap, you write, you build. You dare to live where others merely exist. And the more you do that, the quieter fear becomes. Not because it disappears, but because you stop listening. Because your action becomes louder than your anxiety. Your purpose becomes louder than your panic. And one day, fear starts talking, but you don't even hear it anymore. You're too busy doing the thing. Number 5. Clarity comes from doing, not from overanalyzing. We all want to know before we go. We want the answers before we take the first step. We want certainty before we commit, confidence before we try, and proof before we believe. But life doesn't work like that. Life reveals itself in motion. The people who wait for clarity never leave the starting line. They sit in their rooms overthinking every detail, writing and rewriting the same plan 1,000 times, but never acting. And you know what happens? They get stuck. Because clarity isn't